Hi everybody, it's Nena, Foxy Mama 365, and today we're going to be talking about the new documentary on HBO, Leaving Neverland. It's surreal. It's something that it's kind of difficult to even watch and listen to, and it's a 4-hour documentary. The first part came out yesterday actually, for 2 hours. The second one will be airing tonight, the second part. So I'm just gonna try to dive in and, it's so sad. It's sad all around. Well, anyways, in case you haven't heard, HBO has come out with this documentary, and it's about two young men that were allegedly assaulted by Michael Jackson during the times he spent with them as children. The first guy is James Safechuck, and the second guy is Wade Robson. And they have their parents, and they're all kind of talking up in this documentary. As of today, HBO is being sued for $100 million by the estate of the Jacksons for releasing this documentary. So it's going to be a big mess before we might get to the bottom of any truth. So let's start. So we see James, also known as Jimmy Safechuck, and his mom Stephanie. Apparently he used to be really cute. He's still a very handsome young man, but when he was much younger he was very cute, and his mom was asked to let him do commercials. And the first agent she spoke with was very excited and was like, "Whoa, I think we have, this is good. We can actually use him to do a lot of commercials." So he does a Pepsi commercial, and much to his surprise, he says he wasn't really a Michael Jackson fan, but much to his surprise, when he lands this Pepsi commercial, as he's in the room, Michael Jackson comes out and he's really shocked. And they actually use his real life reaction to seeing Michael Jackson in the room with him. So they end up doing the commercial, and then they become friends. So later on, they start, having phone conversations. They're going back and forth. Eventually Michael Jackson decides to fly the family out to Hawaii, and it's like a great holiday, all expense paid, private jet, the best suite in the hotels. Literally, they actually even, I think he said, they shut down Disney or some parts of Disney just so they could have fun and be there. So he see where he and Michael Jackson start building a relationship, and in my mind I'm wondering, why is an adult, because I think at this point Michael Jackson is still a little younger, maybe he's in his 20s, but this boy is literally 7, and they start hanging out. The boy literally gets to meet a lot of real big stars. He meets Steven Spielberg, he meets Sean Connery, he meets Tina Turner, and then he goes on tour with him, and while they are touring, he now starts kind of sleeping in Michael Jackson's bed, and in Michael Jackson's room. And he says that when they toured in Paris, I think it was one of his tours in Paris, that he now finds Michael Jackson trying to touch him and kiss him, and teaching him how to ejaculate, and fondling him, and actually teaching him how to masturbate. And of course he's still very young, so pretty much he's not really producing any semen. So he's still like, oh, what is going on? And he doesn't understand what is going on. So I think it initially starts like a friendship that now turns into something romantic. And Michael Jackson is also alleged to have been telling him, oh, he's the first person he's ever had a sexual encounter with. It might be possible, whoever really knows. But they always used to say Michael Jackson was a child, so really he hadn't really developed mentally. So it might have been his first sexual encounter, whoever knows. But anyways, Michael Jackson also starts coercing him and saying, oh, you mustn't tell anyone. If anyone ever finds out about this, we'll never get to see each other again. The police might get involved and we'll be in big trouble. Then he goes on to talk about how they now start French kissing, and now kissing the genitals. And Michael Jackson is saying, oh, you can do this, and teaching him what to do. Initially, it's a mess. So his mom is talking and saying, well, she would actually, she was also curious to know what they were doing in the room for so many hours and hours and hours on end. So she was like, this is now when they have now gotten to the Neverland. No, at this point, Neverland wasn't there. But so she would like go up to the room, and Michael actually also come to their house to hang out, and he felt like it was a safe space as well. So the mom would say she would actually go up to their room to just kind of listen, kind of like a curious mom, to say, oh, what are they talking about? And she found out that, oh, Michael Jackson was just reading poems to him, bought him a lot of books, and they were reading the books and comics and stuff like that. So pretty much, yeah, a lot of people want to blame the parents. Oh, where were the parents? How come they didn't know? They should have suspected something. I guess, I don't know. You guys just tell me what you think, because it's just sad all around. So we now see where Michael Jackson now sees the Neverland ranch and decides, oh, he's going to buy this property. They don't really tell us how much he bought it for, but he shows it to the family, and they're like excited, and he goes there, he takes them there, and this now becomes like their den where they start literally, but this is a young 7-year-old child, so he doesn't know better. So anyways, he's saying that literally everywhere in the Neverland ranch, everywhere that they can find any closed space, and apparently there were lots, because Neverland ranch is huge. I think it's about 26 acres, right? There's the main house, and then there's the other little house, and then they have a lot of animals. They even have elephants there, they had lions there. Then later on they had the arcade, and they also had it was just really a fun place, looking from the outside in. Anyways, at the moment, I believe Neverland Ranch is still in the market. They've tried to sell it for 100 million originally, but later on, I think Dish Nation says, oh, they dropped the price to 67 million. They still can't find a buyer, and right now it's on the market for 31 million, and still they can't find a buyer. I don't know if this will help in any way. I don't think this is gonna help, because would you want to own a property where you know that so much has happened or possibly might have happened? It's just a mess. Anyways, so we see where Michael Jackson is showing him all kinds of things. They're having sex in the attic, they're having sex in literally every hook and corner. Michael Jackson's room is a long passage corridor, but they lock the door and lock the door and lock the door. And even when a time when his mom would come and knock, he would be like, oh, had been coached into, dressing up quickly, just so that in case somebody was coming, Michael Jackson had actually coached him. This is allegedly. Don't come for me. I'm only reporting what was reported and giving my little views. So we now go on to Wade Robson, and he was a very young boy, and he was looking for fame. He had met Michael Jackson. He's actually from Australia, and he had met Michael Jackson during one of Michael Jackson's tours in Australia, and he had been told Michael Jackson was meant to be performing during that tour, but then they were doing a dance competition, and so he had been told to go register and dance, and he was too young to actually be in the competition. He was 5 years old, and he needed to be 7 or 8 to actually be in the competition. But lo and behold, he actually won the competition, because it was like in a Walmart or some establishment, and people were like cheering him on, and he had the Michael Jackson outfit, and he was really cute. So that's how his first encounter with Michael Jackson. Later on, as he tries to move on and build his life, he begins to dance in the malls, and he's pretty much a very good dancer. So his mom decides, you know what, let me try, and he can be a little fish in a big bowl, or he can be a big fish in a small bowl. Did I get that right? Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So his mom now starts looking for Michael Jackson's number and looking for ways to actually reach him. Eventually, she is able to reach him. And he's like, oh, okay, she remembers him. She actually speaks to his secretary, and she was like, okay, I'll try and reach Michael Jackson and see what MJ has to say. And MJ is like, oh, yeah, I remember him. Sure, he can come. Can you guys come out and, let's meet? So he actually goes out, and he actually flies the family. The father, mother, grandmother, and his sister as well get flown out to Neverland Ranch, and this boy is like 7 years old. His sister is 10 years old. Now they've just gotten into Neverland Ranch, and they've been there for like literally 4 hours, and they're having so much fun. Of course, they're overwhelmed, they're wowed at the place and how beautiful and all of that. And then in the night when it was time to go to bed, they're like, Michael comes and asks, oh, can he sleep in my room? Can the two kids actually sleep in my room? So I'm sure the parents might have been like, no, but I guess they gave in to Michael Jackson. Now, nothing happened that night. Obviously, the sister was there, so they felt, okay, cool. But the following day, they got separated. And I think the mom and the grandma decided to go to see the Grand Canyon, I think it was, to tour, while Michael Jackson and the kids stayed at the ranch and just kind of hung out. So the mom was like, oh, of course that time there were no cell phones, so she couldn't reach her son. So she said at a point she had a panic attack. You know how you have an instinct that, oh, something is not right. So, and this is at the point where Michael Jackson now starts taking advantage of him, because this happened in the first week of their meeting. And I'm thinking to myself, within a week, can someone be that bold? It's a mess. But anyway, the parents say that while they were there, when they watched the kids and Michael Jackson play, it was more like pillow fights, going around the theme parks with the animals, the giraffes, the elephants, the tigers, the lemurs, and the chimpanzees, and Michael Jackson would say, oh, he saw himself in Wade. So it was kind of like, oh, him looking at my young self. And they would all say, everybody would say, oh, Michael Jackson was like a child. Michael Jackson was like a child. Even the sister too felt, oh, she felt comfortable, and she was like, oh, it was so cool that Michael Jackson was digging her brother and looking at him like talent that he could possibly groom, So it was kind of sad. Anyways, so he's now trying to teach him how to do some music and how to perfect his dancing. And at this point, they start having a physical relationship, and he's touching him in his crotch, his penis. But he says he doesn't feel uncomfortable. That's why it says it wasn't uncomfortable. It wasn't aggressive. It was more like a progressive friendship. I don't know. And this is all after 1 week, So now they're taking showers and they're kissing and touching. And he's like, okay, eventually Michael Jackson is asking him to do like... Michael Jackson is now asking him to like show him his backside and revealing a lot of stuff, and Michael Jackson is wanking off, and he's like not really understanding. But of course, once again, he's being told, oh, don't say anything, we can get into trouble for this. And then of course, they also start doing the shopping, because the sister said, oh, Michael Jackson will take them to a mall, and he'll just be filling in the cart, and he'll be like, take anything you want, So the family did have fun, They didn't notice anything. The way didn't say he went back into his shell or anything like that. So it just seemed like a good friendship. So we just see that MJ kind of was manipulative, because he was giving them money kind of here and there, and showing them a good time, paying for all kinds of stuff for them. It was just not right. It was just not right. Anyways, if it is true. So at a point, I think James said he actually took a vow with Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson gave him a ring, and they were like signed documents, and they were like meant like a marriage vow. Really? And then Michael Jackson would coerce him and say, oh, if you did something for me, then that, that little ring or that jewelry you like, I will get it for you. And he kind of was like, oh, okay, cool. So it kind of progressed, and then Michael Jackson tried to also have anal sex with him. I don't know if eventually it happened, but I think he said something like that. They tried it out, And then later on, we see where Michael Jackson, after a little while, they go their different ways, but Michael Jackson is not calling and not talking to them as often as he used to before. And then there's an LA Gear commercial, and Michael Jackson calls him and is like, oh yeah, I want you to be the boy in the commercial. And he ended up being the boy in the commercial, And at this point, he now starts showing him pornography and all kinds of graphic stuff, And then we see where Wade is saying, oh, this is now when he's with Michael Jackson in LA. They've come all the way from Australia to be with him for a holiday period. And Wade says that his mom, just like a few days before they are meant to leave, Michael Jackson says, oh, would you leave Wade with me for 1 year? And his mom's like, of course not. This is my son. I mean, he needs to be in school. And apparently they spent 2 hours going back and forth. And Michael Jackson says, oh, he always gets what he wants. The mom says, well, not this time around. So eventually, I think she says she agrees to stay an extra week or two, just so that they can like be together. And of course, all through that period too, the sexual molestation continued, allegedly. So eventually, the family, they eventually go back to Australia, and the mom is thinking, hey, what am I doing here? My son is so talented, I might as well go to the US, and I have this opportunity with Michael Jackson, and he wants us to come out there. I might as well go and be there and see what we can do for our son. But then the husband, at this point, we see where the father in the home is deteriorating. I believe at this point he's been diagnosed as being bipolar, and he's maybe not longer working. And the other two kids, Wade had a brother and a sister from the same parents, and the other two kids are like, going back and forth with regards to whether they're going to leave. So the mom eventually ends up taking Wade and his immediate elder sister, but she leaves her oldest son behind with the dad. She leaves her family, and she remembers saying that her dad was, are you crazy? Are you really are you sane? Are you really going to break up your family? Are you going to leave your husband just for this? And she's like, yeah. But now she looks back and she's like, no, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? Well, eventually they get to Hollywood, and then she finds out that everything has changed. That Michael Jackson is not even there. There were no cars to pick them up. There was no hotel. Then obviously she might not have had a credit card. She had to pay for her own hotel, and she was like, what is going on? And eventually Michael Jackson really literally was no longer there. So she's now like, okay, I better start hustling and looking for gigs for my son, which she starts to do. And they eventually get to see Michael Jackson, I think, at one of the shoots for, I think he says for what's that song again? The one with Macaulay Culkin, where he's playing the guitar and all of that. And they're like, okay, I'll show you. And then he sees Macaulay Culkin, and he now realizes that, okay, because he thought he was going to be in that video and doing that scene or dancing for Michael Jackson, only for him to see that Macaulay Culkin had become the it boy. And so he was like hurt. Now this is where you see the jealousy come into play, because now he's like jealous because he's seeing Michael Culkin everywhere with Michael Jackson, and he's like, okay. So pretty much he's now trying to get into his own career, and he's doing his own stuff. He eventually gets to meet Brandy. No, what's her name again? Yeah, I think Britney Spears, and NSYNC, and he eventually gets to walk and actually choreograph her whole tour, one of her tours that she did, and that was kind of good. So he was really lucky; he had a good break. But all of this, you see that the family had been, was in turmoil just because of this Michael Jackson situation, and Michael Jackson really wasn't there for them. But it eventually turned out okay. But at this point, the family was already literally torn. So, moving right along, we now also see Macaulay Culkin ends up leaving Michael Jackson, or they're no longer buddy anymore, and now other boys are being replaced. He said Brett Barnes, and Jody, who's Jordan Chandler, who's also a very handsome young man too that started hanging out with Michael Jackson as well. And so he's like, I see what is going on, and he's not happy. He's very upset. Oh boy. At the end of the day, there are really no losers or winners. No, there are losers, but there are really no winners. Why have they waited this long to tell this story? Of course, that people come out in their own time and in their own way, and some people never really tell if they've ever been assaulted. But then I'm also wondering, Michael Jackson is no longer alive to defend himself. It's not like the Bill Cosby case where you're like, okay, yeah, he's going to be sitting in court, It's a mess all over. At the end of the day, I'll tell everyone, Hollywood is not a place for children. It's just not a place for children, And I'm also wondering, is this a betrayal of Michael Jackson? And I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. This is one story that I'm not happy telling, but it has to be told, only because we are learning more. And I guess now, in this age of social media, we are more able to, we hear more stuff, so we're more aware as parents, than we were 10, 20 years ago, when there was no social media. But now I think parents are becoming more like, Oh, okay, like it's so it's really, the world is a frightening and scary place. If you can avoid like, exposing your kids, it don't matter how much money, how much fame, I will still put my child's well-being. Well, we'll see what's going on in the world. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, and be sure to comment down below. Neverland Part 2 or Leaving Neverland Part 2 will be coming up tomorrow. So we'll see. Thanks for watching, guys.